Oh my goodness, we finally did it. Hi, everybody. This is Shanice Gatewood Ali, CEO and founder of We Are Phenomenal Women. And I have a special guest. Let me tell y'all something. By the time I met her, she's been helping. Oh my goodness, we had such a time just now trying to come on. Lord have mercy. Thank you so much. I appreciate you 100%.
Of course.
Yes. So We Are Phenomenal Woman had took a little what's it, hiatus? A hiatus?
Hiatus.
Yes. Wow, because one, I was in school, two, COVID, and I was doing a lot of stuff online. But now we want to come back out. We working on some great things. Um, we trying to put our, no, excuse me, we are working on getting our workshops back and running, our support groups back and running. So our first guest, right, that I wanted to talk with her about some things. We met a couple of months ago, and she was like, "Oh my goodness, what? You do stuff with domestic violence?" And I was like,
I was
"Yeah."
all in her conversation.
And she's like, "Oh my goodness." So, one night she sent me her testimony, and I kept saying documentary because I thought it was so amazing that on YouTube I was like, "Oh my goodness, that's a documentary." But she said, "No, that's not my documentary. It was something I had to do for something, and I put together a quick video." And I'm like, "Quick!" And I shared it with some people, and I'm like, "Look, oh my goodness, she's so amazing." So,
Oh, thank you.
yes, you are. Yes, you are. I mean, you're so amazing that your name is so unique. I think your name have a meaning. So I'm going to try it again.
Go
Not
for it.
right. Nachayka.
Yeah, Nachayka.
Nachayka. Okay. When I tell you, I
She's
never
been
heard.
practicing.
I, right. My sisters, I named them, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, nobody don't really have a Q and a V." So it's twins. Name one Quanasia and the other one Varnasia. And when I tell you, I sat down and I put this thing together, and I'm my daughter. I named her La Asia, and that's funny. So names it. Your name is so unique. It gotta have a meaning to it. Please help me understand. Is it?
I was told when I was younger, because my family's part Native American,
Mm.
that Cheka by itself meant force of the fire, but it was different enunciations. It got confused with Chaka Khan, which had the similar meaning. The root Cheka actually means a lot of different things in different countries. It means seagull in Russian. Also it meant something in Swahili. I don't think my parents knew that. So I'm just leaving it be. I do like the Hebrew one. I think it's life, but it's more pronounced like Haika. But it's just Nachayka is made up, but Chayka does have a root with it. My parents were in an argument over the meaning. I'm just letting it go. I'm in
Oh
my
my!
40s.
I'm
Whatever they say, whatever. I like the life in Hebrew though. Life
right.
in Hebrew. I want to adopt that one though.
Exactly. I don't blame you. Life. Oh my goodness. I love it. So, um, Miss Na, I'm going to say Na, and I was able to speak about some things, and she had gone through domestic violence. Not only that she went through domestic violence, it's something else that we don't really talk about, which is the narcissistic person that we wound up getting into a relationship with.
Mm-hmm.
And when she said that, I said, "Oh my goodness, I have to speak to you about that," because we already know, most of us know domestic violence is a numerous amount of things, right? It's spiritual, it's emotional, it's financial, it's um physical. Do we have the other things that's underneath that umbrella is family abuse and elderly abuse, and then we have
Mm-hmm.
bullying. Um, and then you have things that's in that will that we also don't talk about much, which I think we need to. A lot of us don't know that when we keep our kids away from our mate, our partner, the person that gave us our children, as long as they are not in harm's way, that is a part of domestic violence as well. Or when somebody keep um, your medicine away from you and don't allow you to take your meds, that's a part of domestic violence as well.
Mm-hmm.
When somebody takes something from you, your pet, your something that you really love, that and keep you from seeing it or kill it, whatever it might be, that is a part of domestic violence as well. So we
Right.
have, all these numerous amount of things that we don't talk about. And one of the things that we don't, another, like I said, we don't talk about the narcissistic relationships because we don't know the names of it. We just think
Mm-hmm.
this person just really loved me so much that
Yeah.
he or she, because we're not just saying it's a male, it's a female thing, is a male thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
That we don't have that opportunity to really pinpoint the name and what it is and what it's about. So I would like for you to just break down of who you are, and we get into the questions in a minute.
Okay. My name is Nachayka Vanterpool. By career, I'm an actress, in the Screen Actors Guild. And I did go through a domestic violence situation. I am healed from it. This was earlier on in my young adulthood. And currently, my whole goal, I didn't know I was in a domestic violence situation. So my whole thing is like God revealed that to me maybe not too long ago. And I didn't want to be associated with this heavy word like domestic violence. It just sounds so big. And God, I was doing dishes, and one day God said, "You're a domestic violence survivor." I wasn't watching anything. I wasn't doing anything that was triggering. It's just that God just spoke to me in that moment in the kitchen. And I ignored him for some time. He just kept putting people in my path that were going through that. And just me sharing my testimony, how I wound up in it, what happened during it, and how I got out, it was able to save other people. So then, I'm not a psychiatrist or anything like that, or a professional speaker, but I found that sharing my testimony has brought awareness and been able to shift and change lives, mentally, emotionally, and God willing, physically, right? Because there's people that aren't alive to share their testimony because of this. And so that is a little bit about that.
Mm,
But
absolutely. Wow. So you ignored our Heavenly Father who told you you are in a, or you were in a domestic violence relationship, and now you are a survivor.
just that quick. That's why I should
Was
say.
you in denial? Like,
Oh
would you
yeah, I was in denial. And the thing is, at that time in my life, I was surrounded by, I have a lot of friends. I was performing, all over, and no one knew that
Mm,
I was in a domestic violence. I am one of 5 daughters. Everyone knew I was in a bad, when you have that, you have a girlfriend and they have that spouse and you just don't like them because they're mean or this, that, and the third. So there were people that didn't like him.
mhm,
People thought that I'm in a bad relationship, but it was truly, I was in a domestic violence situation,
mm,
and as I go into the things that I've gone through, there were signs that people were not picking up.
mhm.
I had battle scars, and I would have excuses, like walking into a wall. Like, it happens, but like how many people walk into a wall as an adult?
Right.
And no one picked up that I was in an abusive situation and that my life was potentially on the line. It was just like, oh, well, this is this person's personality. He's not good for her, but she's okay. So when
Right.
I went public not too long ago, within maybe the last 3 or 4 years, people that knew me in that time, family, friends, mentors, they were in shock. Why didn't I say anything? They would have like roughed them up. And you don't really know sometimes you're in that situation, and I'll elaborate more as you ask questions, but yeah, so that's why it's so important to bring awareness, because usually the person may not be aware, they may be in denial, but also it's like 1 out of 4 people will either experience abuse, domestic violence, man or female, or know someone who is.
Right.
It's that simple at this point in life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, wow. So I would like you to describe when you first noticed the behaviors that made you feel uncomfortable or unease in your relationship. How did that come about?
No, I feel like no person goes into a relationship and they show their true colors when they're the perpetrator. It's not
Right.
like they start dating somebody and they're like, I'm going to abuse you. They
Right.
come off as, a sheep in wolf's clothing. And
Mm,
so this person was, the kind of person you wanted to bring home to mama.
mm,
He was talented, he was handsome, he dressed very well, he was very quiet. He lived in my neighborhood and I would see him passing and he would courteously say like, hello, how are you doing? And I was like, okay. Sort of he noticed me over the course of time. He went to Juilliard, so he was a person that played music, and I was very attracted to that as an artist, as an actor. I was like, oh wow, he could play the piano, he could play multiple instruments. He was extremely talented. So it wasn't
mm,
like he came out with the claws, and guns drawn, if you will.
mm.
Um, what started to happen is I call it control wrapped in care. So I like to joke that I love bacon. You wrap bacon in anything, uh, it's going to taste good. So if
Mm,
you wrap anything disguised as care, you can't see what's in the middle of what's wrapped in it. So that's usually what happens in the beginning of these situations, is that what looks like care is really control,
mm,
and what looks like protection is really possession. It
mm,
started with those things like, oh, where are you going? How long are you going to be there? Because I don't want you out too late. But it was really like he was just keeping tabs on me.
mm,
Um, those kinds of things. He would like listen in on my conversations. This is like in the late 90s, just so you're aware. This is beeper times. If
mm,
I didn't respond in certain ways, it started to get a little heated, like I was worried about you, but it was really just control. So I wind up changing my lifestyle, like not hanging out too late, not doing this, that, and the third. I think what jumped from something common, oh, he loves me because he's
mm,
caring about me and he's checking up on me, but it really was stalking.
mm,
Pop up places that I was at. As an actor, we have long rehearsal days. He would just show up at my rehearsal, but it was really just, he wanted to see if I was really where I was.
mm,
And at the time I'm like, oh, he cares. He wants to make sure I get home safe, but he was really keeping tabs on me. In hindsight, right? Hindsight is 2020 vision. What was a defining factor was when it jumped from little mediocre things like that, to outright like, oh, this is not a magenta pink flag. This is full on red.
mm,
There was a time that, if anybody knows the New York area, the Triborough Bridge, I still call it the Triborough, not whatever it's called now, Robert
mm,
F. Kennedy.
mm,
He had a car. He was into cars. He loved cars. And we were going over the Triborough Bridge. I'm a happy-go-lucky person. And we got to the toll booth, and I had said good morning to the toll booth clerk. And the
mm.
person said hello back. He was exchanging money. He received the money so fast that I think half the money flew out the window, and
Oh
he
my,
floored the car. Went from like 0 to like 80. How we didn't get arrested, there
mm.
wasn't that many cops at the time. And he just kept saying, so you like him? You like him? And he was like, I can drive this car off the bridge right now.
Oh my
And
goodness.
drove as if he was going to drive off of the bridge. And when
Mm.
you're going at that speed, if you make a slight turn, you could flip the car,
Yeah,
and there were cars honking and cars stopping because he was zigzagging in. And he did all that to instill fear,
that's right.
and I couldn't figure out, like, what did I do? I said, good morning,
That's
I said good morning to the person, and he used his car. That was the beginning of him instilling fear and control.
mm-hmm.
And it was really his insecurities. I couldn't. So then I started losing myself. I
Mm,
started not saying hello to people of the opposite sex or casting my eyes down, because everything was, I'm trying to talk to them. I'm trying to get with them, or I think they're more attractive than him. And if we were in the car, the doors were locked and I couldn't get out, and he would run red lights. He would do dangerous things. And that was one of the most dangerous things that I really thought we were going to go to the East River.
Wow.
And I would just say things to calm him down and like, and so that was the beginning of blatant like
Mm-hmm.
control. So
Mm-hmm.
without him telling me, I don't want you to talk to men, he made it very clear of that. He even accused me of sleeping with a cousin. I was on a phone with a male cousin and he just kind of came up on me, was listening in. I was
Oh,
talking to my cousin and he said, "You're sleeping with your cousin?" And I just thought that was the most morbid thing to like, who's sleeping
right.
with somebody? You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It was just very morbid. I can see if it was like a neighbor, but like my own cousin,
Right.
he would just start fights.
Mm.
And usually when people are accusing you of things, they're actually doing it themselves. Usually when people are accusing you of sleeping with people, so when I found out over the course of the years that I was dating, he was cheating
Oh, wow.
with people, but that those were the beginning signs of the control, and then it was the isolation or making me feel guilty
Mm.
for being prosperous. I was on shows at the time. There was like the US tennis happens here in the city, and
Right.
I had an opportunity to open up for like Bill Cosby was like the host at the time. It was a really great time. And oh, so everything's about you right now. And it's just like, so I would downplay any successes. I dropped out of college
Oh,
because like it was like, oh, you're spending so much time at school, you're studying all the time. And then I didn't trust him. So I would think like he's cheating on me while I was in school. So I was just
right.
he dropped out of school and was like, I'll pick it up next semester. And I had never went back and
Back.
a mom. So
Mm.
those are the ways that like those kinds of signs, the isolation, because
Mm.
if they can isolate you, it's the gaslighting. And
Yeah.
these are words that did not exist until recent times.
Mm-hmm.
And because the word gaslight, for anybody that doesn't really know where it came from, it literally came from a play from the UK, a
Mm-hmm.
British play in the 30s, 1930s, and it was called Gaslight because it was a married couple and the husband only married her for money. She was the heir to an inheritance. So he had to make her insane so that he could get her inheritance. And he did this through a gaslight because this is the 1930s and
Right.
they didn't have regular lamps, they had gas lights. And he would change the temperature while she was sleeping. And she would be like, "Isn't it hot in here?" And everybody around her would be like, "No, it's not. It's just you." So when
Mm.
you start altering people's reality and making them think they're crazy, that's gaslighting. I didn't say that, and they
Right.
did say that. That's where the term gaslight came out. It's more known for the movie. It became a movie in the 1940s, and that's where the term came from. But the term became popular in the 2000s because
Right.
people do that. So when you have somebody who's gaslighting you and they're a narcissistic person, it is a recipe for disaster for the person encountering it.
Wow.
And that's who this person was. He was a narcissistic pedophile in
Mm.
hindsight, looking back, and also was huge in gaslighting. And so
Oh,
I believed everything that he said. I believed that he loved me. He would fight with me and say, "I'm fighting with you because I love you. If I didn't love you, I could just walk away." And I was like, hey, he could just walk away, but he's here, fighting it out with me.
right.
And so that was like, I felt like that was the love language of that. If somebody fights with you, that
Mm-hmm.
means they want to be with you because they could just walk away.
Right.
And that's so not true.
Absolutely.
That's not true.
So I hope people hear what we're saying because a lot of our young girls really believe that somebody who's telling you, um, I could walk away and I'm still here and you can walk away. And young lady or young man, you can find